Welcome back. We have Michael Blackwell joining us on the show, distant cousin to our Cheryl Blackwell. Welcome to the back to the Midday Show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, Michael is with Fulton and Company, and today we're talking a little bit about the importance of making sure you know what you're getting into if you want to do some renovations on your house.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it would be an interesting topic, particularly in Kamloops right now. There's a lot of people out there looking for properties, probably more buyers than there are sellers. So what ends up happening is people, maybe looking at a house that isn't quite perfect for them right now. So they're looking to maybe expand or do some renovations. So there's some factors to think about if that's why you're buying a house, particularly in Kamloops right now, given the market. The other issue that's sort of interesting is with respect to financing. Mortgage rates are going up. The stress test for new home buyers is in effect. And so what happens is some buyers are looking for ways to supplement their mortgage payments with rental income by putting in a basement suite or a carriage house. So if that's what you're looking to do or thinking about that, there are some factors to consider before buying a home or thinking about a major renovation.
Okay, so say you're thinking about doing a major reno, you want to put in that carriage suite or a rental suite. What are you looking at? What are the hoops that you have to go through? Yeah,
really what we're talking about here are zoning regulations. So every property in Kamloops has a specific zone that it applies to it, and that zone will set out what sort of uses are permitted on that site. And so if you're thinking about doing a renovation or particularly adding a basement suite or a carriage house, it needs to be a permitted use. So that's the first thing that you need to look at. And then, of course, the next big issue is whether or not you can actually build within the building specifications set out in the zoning bylaws. Yeah.
Does that mean going to City Hall? Does that mean filling out paperwork? How does that go?
When you go to submit a building permit, you're going to have to demonstrate that your construction complies with the zoning regulations that is applicable to your lot. So one of the big ones is if you're thinking about maybe adding a substantial addition onto your property, an additional bedroom and a bathroom, for instance, you have to comply with certain building specifications. The most important ones are setback requirements and lot coverage. So, for instance, the front and the back of your house in most zones in Kamloops have to be at least 6 meters from your front and backyard property lines. The side of your building needs to typically be at least 1.5 meters from either side of your property line. So you want to look to make sure whatever you're building is going to fit within that area. As well, you can't typically have more than 40% of your lot covered by buildings. So you need to think about whether or not your actual use and construction is going to comply with those building specifications before you think about submitting a building permit.
Okay. So once you go ahead and submit that building permit, are people coming in and checking out what you're doing, making sure that you're complying to what you said you're going to do? Yeah,
typically as part of your building permit process, you'll be supplying the city with plans. And it'll have to demonstrate the various setbacks that'll be in place and the size of the building that you're planning to construct.
Okay. So tell me about your experiences. As a lawyer, I'm sure you have seen people go ahead and take some liberties where they didn't actually go through the hoops that they should have. And how does that work out?
Yeah, so, typically that doesn't work out very well. We see it mostly in conveyancing when people are going to, buy a piece of property and there's been a renovation and it hasn't been done to code or hasn't been done with the proper building permit. That can stall the sale of your house. The potential purchaser says, wait a minute here, there's something going on in this property that isn't approved. I need to see that it is approved or will be approved by the city. Of course, there wasn't a building inspection that was probably done, and so you may be having to hire an engineer and a builder to go back in and recertify what's already happened, and it can be a big pain in that
Huge
process.
Headache.
Yep, absolutely.
Headache. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's something that people need to keep in mind. They shouldn't just pretend like it doesn't apply to them, because it's going to come back and bite them more than likely.
And I think the real answer, the discussion on that, is zoning variances.
Right.
As opposed to just doing things that don't comply with the zoning that is applicable to your lot, look to go to the city and get a zoning variance. They're not guaranteed, but there is a process you can go through and have a hearing where you can ask the city to allow a carriage house if it's not permitted on your lot, or ask for a basement suite to be permitted.
Okay, we're almost out of time. Is this a timely endeavor, going through and getting the permitted legalities figured out?
A variance can take quite a bit of time. There's a meeting, a board meeting that'll happen, and your neighboring property owners will get to attend and provide comments. So that can take some time.
And be nice to your neighbors.
That's right. Be nice to your neighbors. Building permits just depends on the backlog at the city and how long it takes them to process. I think it's a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks right now.
Great advice, Michael, for people to think about before they go ahead and make some big changes. They got to make sure that it's going to go through City Hall before you make the changes, for sure. Michael Blackwell, of course, is with Fulton and Company. If you're looking for some advice to this end, this subject or many others, you can certainly contact him. The information is on the screen. We're back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.